Welcome to the Graeae and Disability Arts online podcast, Disability And, bringing together thoughtful discussion and debate. This month, Graeae's associate artist Kate Lovell chats with Graeae's trainee producer Robyn Bowyer about art and theatre and how it informs social change.
Hello and welcome to the Disability And podcast. My name is Kate Lovell and I am joined here by
Robyn Bowyer.
And we are both working at Graeae, both recently joined last month. I am an associate artist with a focus on new writing and artist development.
And I'm Graeae's new trainee producer.
I am a white woman, short, messy, dyed purple hair. I wear black rimmed round glasses, and I would normally be wearing something obnoxiously brightly coloured and floral, but today I'm actually just wearing a grey cardigan and black t-shirt to throw everyone off guard.
Very out of character for you. I'm a white female, and I have brown hair and it's tied up in a bun at the moment, and I'm wearing a grey hoodie. And
me and Robyn connected when we first joined Graeae, as we both have a big passion for art as a tool for social change. That's what we'd like to discuss today in this podcast. So if it's okay, Robyn, I'll put you on the spot and ask you, what does art as a tool for social change mean from your perspective?
For me, art is a way that we can connect with each other. And I think by connecting, that creates social change and makes us think about things differently and have conversations about deeper topics that art can often facilitate. And it's through that collaborative and opening up process, if you like, is where real change happens, because it allows us to think differently and really see the world for what it is and how we can support positive change. And often when we see things that inspire us, it makes us think positively about how our role within society and also how we can support society to maybe be better sometimes.
Yes, definitely. I know that when you're saying there about kind of being able to see the world and connect with others, I know that I'm often attracted to go and see work that is made by people who are different from me, or talking about something that I kind of know very little or next to nothing about, because I hope that I'll be able to learn something and kind of see through somebody's eyes who is very different from me. And I find that like exciting, and I hope that it kind of broadens my own horizons.
Yeah, storytelling is such a underrated tool for us learning and developing, and like you say, like seeking out work that isn't of your own voice. I think that's really important. And you as a person, you can tell that when, especially from the role that you do at Graeae, you have to seek out different stories, because your role is to support that narrative. And yeah, it's an amazing tool, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that attracts me to new writing, is that you get to hear the voices that are kind of telling the stories of now and the stories of today. And I think that storytelling can help us process the world as well. And particularly, we're living through a global pandemic, and we're coming up to nearly two years of living with this, or we're just about 2 years now, really. And I think we've all sort of have kind of going through a collective trauma, really, and I think that art has been and will continue to be really important in, helping us to understand what has happened and process everything.
Yeah, and I think throughout this time, it's been quite inspiring to see how people have used art as their sanctuary, and it's not always about making huge political change when we're talking about social change. It's also about art as a tool in helping people cope in many ways, or find hope in the world when it doesn't feel that way. And I think that's also really powerful too.
Absolutely. I mean, when you think about the times of lockdowns and the times we've had to spend, shut away from most other people, but then people have been turning on the TV, watching Netflix, watching BBC dramas, and, theatres streaming things, and Graeae creating content specifically for watching online. And like you say, it has been people's real sanctuary and a way of something to hold on to and something to talk to other people about, because normally you might talk to your friends and family about what you've been doing, but obviously sometimes during the pandemic, during the lockdowns, that amounts to not very much to talk about, really. Went for a walk, ordered some stuff from Tesco. Point of connection.
Yeah, definitely. And I hope that, it's now seen as that a play, it's now seen where it should be as like a really important way of life, and also a way of, again, us finding connection.
Yeah, because I sometimes think there's a bit of a disconnect. People like to watch films or TV shows and then sort of don't always connect the dots that is the arts. That the arts needs funding so that people can carry on hearing those stories and enjoying those stories. And theatre sort of feeds the film and TV industry. And I'm not always sure that unless you're working in the industry, that you know about those sort of mechanisms.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Fleabag started off as a fringe show, and
yeah, absolutely. It's not like, obviously I don't think there's a hierarchy. I mean, I love theatre, but I guess you could probably say that more people watch TV than go to the theatre. So it's like that's where people are more likely to know about things on TV. But yeah, like Fleabag, one woman fringe show was, and then I think it got picked up from the fringe and taken somewhere, maybe the National, I can't remember, before it was then turned into.
Yeah, I think it was the National.
Yeah.
But it's amazing, her story, like she wrote that piece because she couldn't find her foot in the door, and I think that's what's amazing about theatre, is that people are writing because maybe they're not feeling like there's no representation, or people are feeling like, like I'm going to give myself that opportunity. And I think that's like that, surely that breeds great art, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it. I love that you've picked up on, like, although I'm not saying it's sort of easy to write theatre, it isn't, but it's more that if you write a script and you come and meet someone from a theatre company or an organisation, or you raise some money and book a room, you can put it on. Obviously there's a lot more gatekeeping when it comes to like TV and film, but theatre has that kind of rawness, and I think you can get things kind of out to an audience kind of more quickly, and it's maybe a more sort of urgent response to what's happening in the world. That's one of the reasons I really love it. You can't sort of replicate that when you've got to kind of book a whole film crew and spend months and months making something. It creates a sort of different kind of art.
Has there been a work that's inspired you in regards to social change, or just a piece of art a piece of theatre that's made you go on the journey that you're on?
Oh, that's a good question, and the answer is probably maybe unexpected in some ways, but I do remember that the show that made me think, wow, this is so amazing, was Guys and Dolls at the National Theatre, and it would have been pretty much 20 years ago. I joined like a local amateur dramatic kind of group in my hometown. It was really accessible because it only cost £6 for a whole year's like membership, and they took us on this coach trip to see this play at the National, and I mean it was a great production. And I still regret that I only had £4 to spend, and the cassette tape of the songs was £5. Still regret that. Have to find that tape sometime. But it wasn't that like the show was necessarily in itself like trying to be a force for social change or anything. But I think there was something about sort of like going to a drama group that didn't cost the earth to go, and that anyone could go to. Didn't have to go through like a rigorous like audition selection process. It was just really open. And then I did sort of take that into when I went off to university. I didn't like study theatre in the first instance, but I did join the Drama Society, and they had a night there once a week where people could just try out stuff and kind of experiment. And I sort of took on a role with another person of programming and organising those nights. And you didn't have to audition for that. You just sort of pitched ideas, and I just really loved doing that. And I think that's what started to shape me into the kind of artist I knew I wanted to be. Like somebody who's giving that space for anyone who wants to engage in art to do it, and not all being about you've got to have gone to drama school and trained in a particular way and do things in a particular way. It's sort of more exciting to see how someone comes at it who hasn't come from that background.
It's interesting to hear like your journey, and I think when you're talking about access and the importance of access, that doesn't obviously disabilities is something that we advocate here at Graeae, but also that like classless thing as well. So making sure that things are affordable is really important, because that's obviously how you got into this industry.
Yeah, that's it. Like, because everything kind of intersects. And is there a particular kind of work or moment that sort of propelled you into this world of theatre making with social change at its heart?
I think there's lots of different pieces when I look back at it, but I think probably, and it wasn't the best piece in the world, but probably having theatre and education come into school.
Yeah.
I think like that was the first time really that, and they were talking about like big heavy topics like teenage pregnancy, I think one of them was, and I just thought like these people are talking about things that relate to what's going on now, and that's like their job, like that's a job. And I just thought it's so amazing, like they came into school, and like I remember seeing hot seating for the first time and thinking, oh, like this is incredible. Like you can actually ask these characters questions, and that engagement piece around it, and just feeling like you could engage. And I think that's something that really inspired me. And then while that was going on, I saw someone in the background dressed in black, obviously, and wearing a headset, and I thought, well, what's their job? And they were a stage manager, and I thought, oh, didn't even know that existed. And then then I went to uni, studied drama and stagecraft, so could learn all of the backstage stuff as well. Yeah, and then we did our own theatre and education piece, and that was interesting being on the other side of it. And
Yeah.
and I just think, I mean, it's about that accessibility, be it going into the environment of learning. That's like, it feels like, in some ways, I feel like it makes the young people feel like they're in control of the situation, which I think is really makes it about social change in some ways, because you're representing a piece of work to them in their environment. And I think there's something really beautiful about that, seeing both sides of it. And we decided to have one of the characters have dyslexia, and it was all about getting to university, and basically that you can go to university if you have neuro differences. And I think that was really important for me personally to tell that story. But yeah, I think there's something really special about theatre and education, and it's not always like the most perfect piece of, most perfect piece of theatre or art, but I like that it's in that environment.
I think you've just hit on something so important, and that it is undervalued. Like you say, it's not something that you're going to go and see, in the West End. Isn't all that art is about. And yeah, making art in like people's environment where they're comfortable and where they don't have to like take a train ride 100 miles or whatever to go and see it. It's right there, it's for them. And I think it's a kind of double-edged sword, because it is special because it's only for those people, but then sometimes you think, oh, I wish more people knew about these things that happen on this small scale that can be really profound, like that theatre and education show that came into your school that started a light bulb moment. And I was just thinking then, I should say it was the Barn Theatre in Welwyn Garden City that I went to when I was a kid. I should give a name check. I shouldn't. I should, because it's them that started me on this journey, and they're still going. And as far as I know, they still run youth theatres, and that they are the sort of training grounds, or the places where you're going to have those light bulb moments, just as important as seeing a show at the National.
Yeah, big shout out to all the Amdrabs clubs.
Yeah, absolutely, particularly ones that have managed to keep going on a shoestring.
So, like, when we're talking about social change, and obviously Graeae are like at the forefront, the trailblazers within access and making sure that there's representation for disability on stage and off stage. Like, what made you want to work for them? How did you come across Graeae?
I came across Graeae while I was studying up at York University, and their production of Blasted was coming to York Theatre Royal, and it was in their studio space, which then was very small. I don't know if it's been refurbed now, but I couldn't get a ticket, and I was really disappointed. But I saw that they were doing a workshop and they needed some volunteers to support, and I thought, oh, I'll volunteer, because then at least I'll get a little taste of what's happening. I did that, and sort of it was Jenny doing the workshop, and she had her interpreter there, and I supported a blind woman who wanted to do some writing, and I just my awareness started kind of opening up to this very inclusive and type of theatre with access at its heart. And then I kind of feel like our paths just kept meeting over the years, and I saw a show at Theatre Royal Stratford East when I moved to London many years later, called Signs of a Star-Shaped Diva, with a deaf actress, Caroline Parker, performing, and I really fell in love with it, and I went to see it twice, and the second time I brought a massive group of like people I was studying with at Goldsmiths. And then I booked for Graeae to come and do a workshop. And yeah, it felt like I just had this kind of concentric circle that just kept getting sort of ever closer. And yeah, I've become more and more passionate about championing deaf and disabled voices. And Graeae were the company that taught me about the social model of disability and allowed me to understand that I am a disabled person rather than a broken person, which is how I felt before, under the medical model sort of regime that I was used to. So to come now and be working in the role as associate artist does feel like coming home, like, oh yeah, this was always meant to be somehow. This sort of magnetic pull. What about you and Graeae? What sort of brought you to Graeae?
Just want to say, it does sound like it was always meant to be.
It does a bit, doesn't it? But that might be just me being a storyteller and spinning a good yarn.
Maybe. Well, I'd seen some shows while I was studying in Liverpool, and I had never really come across, which is obviously why Graeae exists and why we need to continue to advocate. I'd never really come across such a broad representation of disability on stage before seeing any of their work, and then and then it sort of just sat in my head for a while, and then during lockdown they put out a training program called Beyond, which is about supporting regional artists and connecting them to venues and trying to make work happen. So I decided to join that program because I thought it was a good way of developing through lockdown, and I felt really supported through. Yeah, it kept me going really through the pandemic and made me feel like the arts weren't an unachievable goal.
Yes.
And then basically I applied. I thought, oh my gosh, imagine being a trainee producer, but in that environment, it would be amazing, and supporting that mission. So I applied and here I am. So I feel really lucky to have got the position, but also really lucky to work with amazing people who are really inspiring.
Yeah, that's it. It is. I mean, for listeners, I don't want to get too navel gazing, but it is a great team to be a part of. And what you said there about about them being trailblazers, I love the fact that Graeae says we're a human rights theatre company, and that was something that is so important to me, and I think is it's part of that, isn't it? That they're explicitly saying we're here to change the world. Be part of that. Nothing is just art in inverted commas.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're going to be on a inspiring journey the next. Well, it's a bit less than a year now, but I feel like we're on a journey of advocacy and also development ourselves, which is exciting in this environment.
Yes, definitely. And our first few weeks have been busy, especially for you, Robyn, working across so many different projects.
Everybody's busy, aren't they?
Yeah, that's true. But that there are two other associate artists who I think will be doing the next podcast, Brittany and Sunny, and the four of us, created a new writing showcase that we presented on the 3rd of December and for the International Day of Disabled People. And again, that sort of felt like we were trying to put ourselves on the map. It's International Day of Disabled People. Here's plays written by disabled people, directed by disabled people, the whole team, and showcasing that talent and doing it on Zoom, even though theatres are still open. But I think it's sort of also a way of making sure that, many people could be included, so that we were able to cast without worrying about location, including working with a writer who is from New York, and not also people that might still not be feeling good about going out and about and mixing. And obviously now that's got even more intense, that we're in mid-December. But yeah, I just love that we made that happen, even though we've only met each other in person a handful of times, but we did that together as a team. So it shows what can be done,
Yeah, and I think it helps us let go of our perfectionism.
Yeah, that's true. I think that is, as I know for me as a writer, if I don't have a deadline, it's a bit like it could just go on forever, because, you can always think, it could be a bit better, this could change, that could change. It can you do sort of have to draw a line somewhere. I think that is one other element maybe that attracts me to theatre, that you do sort of usually have a hard deadline. Although it might be a bit nerve-wracking, it is a way of making sure that something happens.
Yeah. And like you said before, it's that quick turnaround it's about being responsive to the time. And I think that's really powerful, and that in itself is, it's about art is about a moment in time, and I think that's why theatre is so powerful, is because it's about it can be so responsive to a moment in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you? What do you want from this year?
I think well, it's something I was thinking about earlier on today, about how being a writer can be lonely, and then I think being a deaf, disabled or neurodivergent writer can sort of be a layer of lonely, and how maybe like creating a community for writers could be something interesting to explore. And obviously there are communities out there, of writers, and I'm connected to other writers, but maybe something that has a kind of hub and a structure, and maybe some offers of things to do, spaces to be. I think maybe writers, we don't connect enough, because it is it can be a solitary occupation, but it doesn't sort of have to be. Just maybe experimenting a bit. What would happen if 3 of us got together and wrote a piece? Like, just thinking about different ways of working, and under the Graeae model, then we don't have to sort of worry about, but if I want to work with a deaf writer and a writer who can't leave their home, how will we do it? Well, with the support of Graeae, we'd make it work. We'd get those access needs met, and we'd do it. So yeah, I'm kind of interested in trying to create more of a community or connection between disabled writers.
That sounds really exciting. I think it's a really positive thing, because as you say, writing can be quite a lonely process, and I think, it sounds like a really lovely thing of bringing people together and connecting again.
Yeah, I think it's something to try out and see what happens. And then all the misanthropic writers will go, oh no, we don't like people, and hide in their rooms again. No, I'm joking. I think, as well, to write, you have to spend time with people, you have to be out in the world, and that can be extra difficult during a pandemic. So finding new ways to kind of connect and meet people is probably sort of extra important.
Do you think you're looking at doing that in the new year? Looking at how you can start that rolling?
I hope so, yeah. I mean, I probably need to sort of have more of a plan and structured thoughts, but that's a sort of my my general splurge of thought about it.
You put it out into the universe now, so you've got.
I know. It's probably. I was just thinking that, but it's probably quite useful pressure, sort of gentle pressure from myself to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Accountability.
And I can ask you to help me produce it. After you've done all the other million things that I'm sure you've got on your to-do list.
Yeah, as has everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really nice catching up. I don't know, I feel like we've come to a natural end.
Yeah. No, it has been great, and great talking about something that we're both kind of so passionate about as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think we can only live in hope, and I think that's what art is. It does, and I know that it's a scary time right now. People are feeling maybe a bit anxious, but we've just got to find it in us to find that creativity and channel it in some way.
Yeah, isn't it about kind of taking the energy? Like, I know sometimes my anxiety, it does make me restless, and like channeling. I mean, even today, I've had quite a difficult day with anxiety, so channeling it into this conversation is like a useful sort of thing to be able to do, and hopefully, making art for people can provide that sort of place to put some of the thoughts and feelings and process everything. Well, thank you very much, Robyn, for taking time to have this lovely chat with me this afternoon. And yeah, hope you have a lovely Christmas, and everyone listening does too.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure, and Merry Christmas to you. And I'm really looking forward to making some change happen in the new year.
Absolutely. Watch this space, everybody.
Visit Graeae.org and disabilityarts.online for details of productions, events, interviews, opinions, reviews, and learning opportunities.